A breaking investigation by a government watchdog found an estimated $350 million in undisclosed royalties were paid to the National Institutes of Health and hundreds of its scientists, including the agency's recently departed director, Dr. Francis Collins, and Dr. Anthony Fauci. This is in addition to the previously reported $350,000 per year that Fauci will receive in his federal retirement package, which will be the largest in U.S. history. Some will also remember Forbes and others reported earlier this year that the Fauci household's current net worth exceeds $10.4 million. During the year of 2020 alone, their household income, perks and benefits, and unrealized gains totaled $1.7 million. This new report from OpenTheBooks.com says last year the National Institutes of Health, Anthony Fauci's employer, doled out $30 billion in government grants to roughly 56,000 recipients. The largesse of taxpayer money buys a lot of favor and clout within the scientific research and healthcare industries. However, in our breaking investigation, we found hundreds of millions of dollars in payments also flow the other way. These are royalty payments from third-party payers, think pharmaceutical companies, back to the National Institutes of Health and individual NIH scientists. In a telephone news conference on May 9th, Open the Book's CEO Adam Andrzejewski told reporters, quote, "We estimate that up to $350 million in royalties from third parties were paid to the National Institutes of Health scientists during the fiscal years between 2010 and 2020. We draw that conclusion because in the first 5 years, there has been $134 million that we have been able to quantify of top-line numbers that flowed from third-party payers, meaning pharmaceutical companies or other payers, to National Institutes of Health scientists." Andrzejewski also says that because those payments enrich the agency and its scientists, each and every royalty payment could be a potential conflict of interest and needs disclosure. Their report continues saying, "Recently, our organization at OpenTheBooks.com forced the National Institutes of Health to disclose over 22,000 royalty payments totaling nearly $134 million paid to the agency and nearly 1,700 NIH scientists. These payments occurred during the most recently available period, from September of 2009 to September 2014. The production is the result of our federal lawsuit versus NIH. The agency admits to holding 3,000 pages of line-by-line royalties since 2009. So far, they've produced only 1,200 pages. The next 1,800 pages of production will cover the period of 2015 to 2020. Since the NIH documents are heavily redacted, we can only see how many payments each scientist received, and separately the aggregate dollars per NIH agency. This is a gatekeeping at odds with the spirit and perhaps the letter of open records laws. We found agency leadership and top scientists at NIH receiving royalty payments. Well-known scientists receiving payments during the period included Anthony Fauci, director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases and the highest paid federal bureaucrat, received 23 royalty payments. His 2021 taxpayer-funded salary was $456,000. Francis Collins, the National Institutes of Health director from 2009 to 2021, received 14 payments. His taxpayer-funded salary is $203,000. And Clifford Lane, Fauci's deputy at NIAID, received 8 payments. His taxpayer-funded salary in 2021 was $325,000. Again, they point out in the above examples, although we know the number of payments to each scientist, we still don't know how much money was paid because the dollar figure was deleted or redacted from the disclosures. Back to the Epoch Times and their interview with Andrzejewski, he told them that payments from the first 5 years, from 2010 to 2014, constitute 40% of the total. Quote, "We now know that there are 1,675 scientists that received payments during that period, at least one payment. In fiscal year 2014, for instance, $36 million was paid out, and that is on average $21,100 per scientist. We also find that during this period, leadership at NIH was involved in receiving third-party payments. For instance, Francis Collins, the immediate past director of NIH, received 14 payments, Dr. Anthony Fauci received 23 payments, and his deputy, Clifford Lane, received 8 payments. The Epoch Times says an NIH spokesman didn't respond by press time to a request for comment. Andrzejewski told reporters that the Associated Press reported extensively on the NIH royalty payments in 2005, including specific details about who got how much from which payers for what work, that the agency is denying to open the books in 2022. Quote, "At that time, we knew there were 918 scientists, and each year they were receiving approximately $9 million, on average, with each scientist receiving $9,700. But today, the numbers are a lot larger, with the United States still in a declared national health emergency. It's quite obvious the stakes in healthcare are a lot larger." He said the files Open the Books is receiving, 300 pages of line-by-line data, are heavily redacted. Quote, "These are not the files the Associated Press received in 2005, where everything was disclosed, the scientist's name, the name of the third-party payer, the amount of the royalty paid by the payer to the scientist. Today, NIH is producing a heavily redacted database. We don't know the payment amount to the scientist, and we don't know the name of the third-party payer. All of that is being redacted. Federal officials are allowed to redact information from responses to FOIA requests if the release of the data would harm a firm's commercial privilege. The undisclosed royalty payments are inherent conflicts of interest," Andrzejewski said. Andrzejewski also told news outlets, quote, "We believe there is an unholy conflict of interest inherent at NIH. Consider the fact that each year NIH doles out $32 billion in grants to approximately 56,000 grantees. Now we know that over an 11-year period, there is going to be approximately $350 million flowing the other way from third-party payers, many of which receive NIH grants, and those payments are flowing back to NIH scientists and leadership." Fauci and Lane told AP that they agreed there was an appearance of a conflict of interest in getting the royalties, with Fauci saying that he contributed his royalties to charity. Lane didn't do that, according to Andrzejewski. This article concludes reminding us how the nonprofit filed a Federal Freedom of Information Act suit seeking documentation of all payments by outside firms to NIH and/or current and former NIH employees. NIH declined to respond to the FOIA, so Open the Books is taking the agency to court, suing it for non-compliance with the FOIA. Open the Books is represented in federal court in the case by another nonprofit government watchdog, Judicial Watch. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, remember to click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. As usual, thank you very much everyone who has been supporting this channel with your donations over at Patreon or PayPal, and with your super chats as well. That's greatly appreciated. Even just a few dollars makes a huge difference and helps me keep talking about these important issues. You can find either link down in the video description where you can support this channel directly, patreon.com/realityreader or paypal.me/realityreader. And once again, with all the censorship happening here at YouTube, I'll remind everyone it's probably a good idea to find me on some alternative platforms as well. The best place where you can find me is superu.net. That's super, the letter u.net. You can also find me at odyssey.com. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.